I get the cheat code, I'm a beast. They should've never let me out of lease. Stop all the cap, I'm just tryna see. You really back what you talk on the beat. They put me in, I'ma walk on the beat. I eat my plate and it make me obese. I been pushing lyrics like a kingpin. And when the day we got them.
Hey!
They're just so fucking happy and giddy and excited to be alive today. And
I'm actually tired today.
Are these the first shades?
like the energy.
Are these shades?
No, I just haven't put the lenses in them yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
I bought these in Dallas yesterday.
Sweet.
Yeah.
In Dallas yesterday.
Yeah.
You know.
Light flex.
Sorry.
Damn.
Humble flex.
I was, you know, I
Humble
was
The salt guy?
I flew back to the future. You know, I was there. Now I'm here. That's what I did yesterday. Today I'm doing some shit that I could talk about what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm taking these classes that are teaching me how to invest for retirement because my whole career I focused on everybody else.
Okay.
And I forgot to focus on me.
Right.
And now that I'm 60, I have no retirement plan.
Can we bleep out the age
So-
part? Can we bleep when age comes in? You bleep, please. You're how old? 43. 43's never looked better on you.
Thank you. So I've been taking these classes, and technically, if I do everything that I'm doing now and I stay on point, I could retire in 8 years. I won't.
Right.
And it won't be a blow to my lifestyle now. I can
Nice.
keep the same lifestyle.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
It's amazing.
And especially being
I'm not
around
going to retire, though. Just let's be
money-minded
clear.
individuals had to have been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in a room full of millionaires. I was the poorest person in the room, and that's always cool to me.
I think it was Andre 3000 said on the new Killer Mike feature, I don't have no friends that are like scientists and engineers. And that really it made me think like, damn.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
either.
I really don't have anybody that is like a friend of mine that is, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of perspective. Have you guys heard the Killer Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah,
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But that song in particular, I can't wait for the 3 Stacks to drop a whole project.
Yeah, Killer Mike recanted, but I think it's still going to come out because Andre 3 Stacks was trying to.
He's been walking
Randomly
around with
drop
that
it.
damn Mayan flute too much.
He's gonna drop.
Yeah,
He's
he's gonna
gotta
drop
drop.
something.
I hope
What if
so.
he drops like a whole he's a flautist project?
I think it's somewhere in the
That'd be
ether
awesome.
with the fucking Dre album.
Right.
Damn.
Oh, yeah, the Chronic 2020.
Right, whatever.
Whenever.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so listen, I wanted to talk to you guys about something because Boss and Miss Day, I like that. Is that a Cairo Fetty Street shirt, by the way?
It's a Cairo Street.
It
Yeah,
is
need
Cairo
one.
Street
Size-
shirt.
size medium,
That's
guys. Need
nice.
one. Need one.
That color scheme. Can I touch this? What is this?
Yeah.
Oh, this
You
is
see the
nice
back?
fabric. No, I didn't see the back.
Good merch. Good merch.
Oh,
Really
we got
good merch.
the logo
Cairo
on
Street,
the back.
Atlanta,
White
Georgia.
on light blue.
Nice.
Nice,
Yeah, nice.
You may now look at my tits. It's the only time you're
All
allowed
right.
to.
That's why the logo was placed there. Blasting and servicing content.
And shout out to Rep Graphics. This is Rep Graphics.
Shout out to Rep
Yeah.
Graphics.
He's
For real.
my favorite designer.
Yes, definitely one of the top 5 most impactful
Yeah.
graphic designers of the urban culture era.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely top 5.
And my cherub is like leaning on money stacks in case you can't see it.
Yeah, he's not leaning on
Money stacks. Yeah.
money. The Mugarine.
I'm just saying.
He's leaning on the Fetty.
He is.
He's leaning
Absolutely.
on the Fetty. That's what
One
we're trying to
time
get to.
Yep.
So listen, I was talking to you guys about servicing records. And we had an interesting conversation about blasting records and about service blasts. And
Absolutely.
I'm curious
DJ
to know
blasts.
from an executive and from a DJ at a radio station perspective now at a label, how does the music get to the people, not the fans, to the industry, if not being sent by your peers?
I believe that you go to the fans directly, and when a song is resonating, DJs will pick it up because it's hot, and
Where do
they
the
want to play
DJs
the
go
hot
get it?
music.
Aren't the DJs supposed to get it from somebody in a position?
Yes, absolutely.
Where would that start at? How does that line
Where do you get your
blurred?
music from?
So one thing I've learned that there are lifestyle people, and the lifestyle people are kind of like the liaison between labels, DJs, and fans. So the lifestyle people have access to things that DJs may not have access to, whether that's relationships with the executives in the music industry, relationships with the program directors at the radio station. And these are the guys and the key guys that kind of just start saying, here, I'm going to spread some information. So, for example, I'm a lifestyle guy, right? And a mix show promotion rep executive at Warner Records. Whenever I get a record early, I spread it to all the people that
Stop. How did you get the record?
from From the artist directly,
Not who.
management.
How? How did you get it? What method was
Email.
Huh?
Email.
Okay, so you have to email the record.
Email.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now we're
Was it
getting
an
to the bottom
email
of it.
blast?
No.
But it was an email service.
Email service.
Okay, so we have to service it via email.
Correct.
So that in turn would be the first process to it.
Correct.
All right, so now let's say we've gotten the record and we want to give it to our DJ friends, like you said, and we want to blast it out.
Right.
We want to give it to other platforms. Do you just give, let's say, fan base, Rari Talks, and Complex all want to cover the XYZ artist? Do you send them the same email with no information in MP3?
No.
That to send them, and do you let them? How does that work?
You curate a nice, very informational blast, and you tailor it. Well, I like to tailor mine. So
I think
it
you
doesn't seem-
individualize it.
Yeah, I don't like to do
Personalize
mine
it.
where I send everything to everyone in this room. I will literally take the time and
Make it
send
personal.
and make it personal to each person.
And what is included in that email? Is it more? Is it a knob polish, or is it
Information.
For a knob polish is, oh my God, you look so beautiful and you're so intelligent. That's a knob polish. We're not talking about that. Is it? This is what the record is. This is the information, and this is what I need to get done. And this is all part of why I'm asking the question. I'm leading up.
You want to
this.
provide as much information as possible. If it's trending on TikTok, if it's already on the Billboard chart, if it's if people are talking about it, you want to provide as much information. If there's a video out, there's a link in there as well that you can click and tap as much information as possible because you want to know. And if you're playing the song, if someone says, "What song is that?" you want to know as a DJ, "Oh, this is the #1 song on such and such. This is already lit. You late."
Right.
So you want to provide as much information as possible.
And links to social media.
Links to social media, everything. You want to provide as much information. You want to provide as much metadata as possible.
And the reason I'm asking that question is because, one of the search engine optimization is probably the most confusing term of the last 20 years, right? Because everything that we find, we have to go search for.
Correct.
Okay. So whether it's music, whether it's videos, whether it's clothes, now they're making it so that you can pull out your phone and take a picture of something and it'll pull up where you can buy it at the different vendors. So information searching and all of that stuff is super important. And the reason I ask that question is because on our end of the music business, we're at the front line of defense. So I know that Rari has rank and reputation amongst his peers. Well, how do I know? Because I could send out a message to the same individuals and not get the same response that Rari would, right?
Correct.
So that doesn't mean that they don't hold or don't respect me anymore. They just means they hold and respect you a little more. So understanding that in some situations or in a hierarchy or even in a structure like a Warner, there are tiers of influence, but that influence all has to use the same methods and protocol and tools and stuff to get the job done. So just because you're a really good carpenter doesn't mean that you don't have to use a ladder. All carpenters have to use a ladder, right? Okay, cool. So I say all that to say this. If you get your music via email and you send out your music via email and it all has to have information, where does that information come from, Rari? Do you make it up as you send it out? Does somebody tell you, hey, Rari, make up some good shit and make it sound good and then send it to somebody else?
Well, yeah, usually, on my end, it's a publicist or somebody in marketing that can create the blast, but they're gathering all the information and putting it all in one place to send it out.
And then what do they do with it? They send it out to their resource pools and their platforms.
Yep.
In exchange for what? For support or for review?
For review.
For review. When they ask for support, they come with a check, right?
Correct.
I want you to review this to see if it meets your standards. And if you like it, then I hope you will send it out because of who I am. If I want you to send it out, here's the dollar amount that you normally charge for this service.
Well, again, you have the marketing department, and these people get paid to do stuff like this, right? So someone like a Kingpin that can create a blast, that's not a free service for a Kingpin. This is something that people need to pay for because you need it professionally done. You don't want it to look, you want it to look dope. You don't want it to you don't want it to look unorganized.
You want it to be presented properly.
You don't want it to be unprofessional. You don't want an email that just has nothing in the subject line. What's the catchy line? What's something that makes it look sense? And it has to be current with the times too. So you don't want to sound like it's 1995. You don't want to sound like it's 2015. You want to sound like it's June, July, August of 2023.
Right, relevant.
You want to be as relevant as possible when you're sending this out, and you want to provide as much data. So when someone like a DJ or a curator or somebody important that spreads music taps it, they open the email, they see as much information, and they get as much knowledge as possible.
I think that's 100% how it works. And just speaking amongst our peers and the people that we work with on a regular basis, I can tell you, I can probably count on my hand the last time somebody that I respect in the business has sent me a record. And that doesn't mean that it's not effective. It means that the person that I respected doesn't send out records. We are in the music business, would you agree?
Agreed.
So it's our job to stay ahead of trends, times, procedures, protocol, the evolution of it. But that doesn't mean that we get to abandon certain protocols and systems, right? So where a letter had to get put in the mail 20 years ago and the record had to get mailed to your house where you can get it, right? But somebody still had to do that. Nowadays in 2023, they send it to you via email and you don't open your inbox every day because whatever reason it is. Not speaking you specifically, just in general. So most people will tell you, well, it doesn't work. People were arguing underneath the feedback post on our page, telling people to create feedback forms. Ain't nobody gonna fill that out. They forgot to listen to the very beginning of it when it says you should be building a relationship. You can send feedback forms to everybody.
But let
the
me say
people
this.
you have relationships are gonna fill it out.
If Kingpin, Wendy Day, or somebody that I respect asks me for feedback, I'm gonna fill out the form. So
Concept.
It works to the people that you're sending it to because you're trying to get a gauge of, is this the right record that we should go with? Which hence when we do like private playbacks, when we have said artists in the room, because we're not trying to waste any money.
Exactly.
So we don't want to the people who respect the craft and people who are fans of the craft and the who's will fill out that feedback form. Those are just regular folks. No disrespect to saying the word regular. Those are just folks that are maybe entertained or fans of said artists.
They're blue collar
and
folks.
Not people who are actually working said artists. And
Not the executives.
Exactly. In the background, making the shit go.
Yeah, I think, as being in the position that we're in, we overlook our influence, especially with the cheat code. And individually and collectively, I think that we don't put as much emphasis on, and that's because, let me backtrack this a little bit, everybody isn't ready to benefit from our help, so we won't give everybody our full effort. Because if I give you and you're not ready to benefit from it, then I lost. You didn't gain and I lost, so it was lose-lose. So I understand that concept of it. And I also speak from the perspective of frustration to where we have a core of titans among us. Because make no mistake about it, we are the fucking titans. And people look to us and people wait to see what we do next so that they can either follow along or go against the grain, right? So I say all that to say this, we have to be more proactive in our approach and in the way collectively that all of us package and present the information that we swear nobody is listening to, that we swear nobody is opening, that we swear nobody gets. And it's because we are not following up with the things that collectively all of us could be doing. Because it takes a team. It takes Kingpin and the 6 or 7 people that are around Kingpin. Tony, Al Green. It takes Rari and Ravish and the 6 or 7 people around Rari. It takes Wendy and Blaine and Naldo and the 6 or 7 people. And so it takes a collection of all of us. And when all of us don't put all of our full effort in, it shortchanges everyone else in that equation. And when it comes to servicing music, because we are at the very tip of the spear with this shit, when it comes to servicing music, if we're not using all of our tools and all of our resources, it puts us at a disadvantage because now it's making it so that we have to have the dollar amount to get the influence. We don't have to pay for the influence.
So what about the email blast services?
I think email blast services, if they weren't effective, then Sprayground wouldn't use them. I get Sprayground email blast every day. I get Reebok email blast every day. Not some days, every day. I get Musically email blast every day. The emails that I get every day and that I open every day are the ones that I want specifically. But for blasting services, I think those are utilized for awareness. If I have a record that I'm dropping at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I use email blast companies to fuck up a DJ's inbox. Because he's going to look at that inbox and at 3 o'clock, that bitch is going to say, DigiWax, new record, MP3 Wax, new record, Cheat Code, new record, Kingpin, new record, Cool Running DJs, new record, Core DJs, new record, The Easter Bunny, new record. What record is this? I was able to impact it. I was able to influence it. I was able to cause search engine optimization. I can take it if I have one mid-level blogger, one person opens my emails and takes my content and posts it on a website, I'm impacting my search engine results. I am able to now put content into the marketplace, and I am able to monitor it. I'm able to track it. Now, what are we talking about? Are you going to blow off of the blogs? No, you're not. But you're going to leave a footprint off of the blogs, so that when somebody searches you, there'll be 65,000 results as opposed to 37, and those 65,000 are all for your latest release.
I just think I do think you have to have a footprint in all facets. That's one of them. Another one could be radio, XM radio, and then another one is in the streets, in the clubs where physical people are at. That's the purpose of DJs all having the record and all the DJs agreeing and saying, yes, we're going to break this record, and it all trending at the same time. So imagine, like, is everyone's playing Dreams and Nightmares at midnight. Same thing when you're in the club, usually, or 2 a.m. When it's time to turn up and the bottles are out in the lifestyle part of the clubs, especially in the upscale clubs, when it's time to turn up, you're playing Dreams and Nightmares.
Absolutely.
I think in the 2010s, the DJ blasts got burned out.
Okay.
I think that a lot of DJs saw an opportunity to make money from independent artists and from major labels, and they started taking money to blast out everything.
Yeah. To nobody.
So, right. So I think that, and a lot of it ends up in spam folders.
Right.
And I think that we're kind of to blame for that, because we as the industry, we see a way to deliver information to people, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon,
right,
and we burn it the fuck out.
TikTok.
And I think that is what happened with the blast services. So the reason that I haven't done them since 2016 or 2017 is because they're not effective anymore.
I think, but you're a Wendy Day blast. So you telling me that you don't want to use XYZ service because they may be played out is totally understandable. It's ran its course.
Yes.
But you not sending out the content and you being Wendy Day, it's a shot in the foot. Because
Wendy Day
your
doesn't
influence,
send out music
that's
as blasts.
exactly why a Wendy Day music blast would be so impactful. Because Wendy Day does not send out music blast. So it's the evolution of what we had. Ferrari Simmons does not send out music blasts.
I do.
But again,
I do.
as the Rari
to DJs, though.
right? To DJs, right?
Exactly.
But as the Rari Talks record pool, Rari
which we have been talking about, yes,
which we have been talking about,
yes.
Rari has, and again, and I'm not Kingpin, as for Rap Juggernaut, Promo Vatican. Again, these are things that we ourselves are our own brand. I made a joke about it the other day on Twitter. Like, you want to see influence? I'll come sit in your lobby, bitch, and show you influence. But I got bigger fish to fry. We are our own influence. And instead of us using it to showboat and grandstand on people, we use it and we donate it to give to the people.
Right.
So we have to call each other out when we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that's not just us three at this table. It's a problem within the industry, because there are 1,000 DJs that we know, respect, and admire that have never sent us the hottest record in their market. And do you want to know why? Ask me why.
Why?
Because they're not getting fucking paid for it. That's why. Because they put their loyalty and the future and the culture behind the bag. That's why.
Yeah, it's definitely tainted in that area, but also because people are paying the bag for DJs to do it. So then now a said DJ is going to say, well, I ain't doing that because I ain't get paid. But such and such just sent me this. And for example, like my email blasts. My email blasts are for a select group of individuals that can properly impact.
That engage, by the way.
Engage with
that'll
me,
provide feedback.
Which is why
that
I
talk.
do. You saw Ferrari Simmons Bowling Night sponsored by Warner Records, and I had the most influential DJs and tastemakers in the city at that particular event. I paid for their bowling, I paid for their alcohol, I paid for their food, right?
Right.
So these are the important
Camaraderie
people
building.
that I talk to, have a group chat with them as well, and I sometimes text them records. So
that's your
they have it in
pool.
the email and they have it via text, and then we can have a conversation via text. And sometimes I do phone calls as well. So not you're getting the email, you're getting a text, and I'm calling you.
But the great thing about you is also that you send out music that you deem worthy.
Thank you.
Somebody
That's another
can't
one.
just come
Right,
to you
right,
and
right.
say, here's $5,000, please send out my
I'm gonna
music.
say no if I don't like the song.
Exactly. And my issue with a lot of DJs is they don't have that filter.
There's no quality
there's a lot
control.
of bullshit. And
Right.
there are people in this industry that sit back and wait to see what comes from those people, and then they go and start targeting those artists because they know those artists are spending money.
It's a brand,
and
right?
It becomes
Like
a
Spray
cash
Ground book
grab.
bags. Spray Ground book bags. I know that their book bags are dope. So when I get an email from Spray Ground, I'm gonna tap and open.
I know
that.
they sell out, so I open it quick so I can buy
I
one.
open it quick and buy out. So for me, I try to make sure my brand. For example, we have an artist that I'm working with at Cairo Street Records, Fetty. People know that he has dope records, but also they know that they automatically assume he's dope because Ferrari is with him.
Right.
So
All the
I'm
time.
not going to stand next to something that I don't believe in. I'm not going
Right.
to send out something I don't believe in, and I'm not going to co-sign something that I don't believe. I remember not because he's in the room, but Fetty asked me. He was like, "Man, Ferrari, would you rock with me if you weren't on the team?" And I was like, "Yes." Why? Because your music is dope.
You did rock with him before you were on the team.
I'm here because your music is dope. I'm not here because I'm hired. I'm here.
Yeah,
because
Sean is here
I
to work
believe
in the
you.
room, but Ferrari is here because the music is dope.
I actually believe in it, and I'm standing next to you. That's another thing. Name somebody I stood next to that I didn't support.
Right.
You can't do that.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Zero. So that's why I'm saying. So mine are a little bit more tailored because I don't like to do major blasts. This is just me. I don't like to do major blasts for something that I don't believe in. So it can't. Probably shouldn't say this, but
Don't say it then.
Okay, yeah, facts.
I mean, and I'll say this. I'll say this, right?
Stop right there.
I'll say this. At the end of the day, we're not asking, I'm not telling anybody to co-sign anything.
Right.
Because if that was the case, then all of the top DJs in New York need to be lined up outside of the buildings and smacked for helping Tekashi 6ix9ine become one of the biggest streaming artists of the last 10 years. Right? That's not what we're talking about. I don't care
Well,
who
they
you stand
had
by or
to
stand
because
by.
the fans embraced him.
That's beautiful.
The fans loved him. The DJs had to.
They had to play it.
respond. They,
They
had
had
no
to play it,
choice.
of course.
He became huge first
Right. In the streets.
It was
Got
happening
buzzed
in the
up.
streets and digitally.
It was happening in Atlanta, and I remember hearing the what's the song?
The Gummo.
The Gummo song. I just thought, I was like, yo, this shit is different. This sounds different. But it was infiltrating Atlanta to a point where he has a song with Lil Baby, A Boogie with the Hoodie. He has all these songs because people was hopping on his records. But then when everything happened,
Did y'all know Janet Jackson just dropped the record?
no.
Janet fucking Jackson. One of the Jacksons. Did you know she just dropped the record? It's exactly my fucking point,
Her
Ferrari
merch
Simmons.
site is amazing
exactly
too.
my
Her
point.
merch
Well,
site is killing it.
Time out. Let me just address this. I'm going to listen to it, right? But let's just say I listen to it and I don't like it. Okay, cool. She just dropped the record. That's my point.
But let's say she listens to it and you do like it and you're like, you know what? 6 degrees of separation. Hey, can somebody get a hold of Jermaine Dupri? I'd love to have Janet Jackson come in here and let's do a Ferrari Talks with Janet Jackson. And while you're here,
Definitely
maybe she'll want to
possible.
do a fan base. And if she's doing fan base for Isaac, maybe I can get her over here with Mr. J Hill. And since she's there with him, let me try to get 3 or 4 other people in the Matrix. God damn it. Isn't that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that tends to
That's
happen.
why the people, I'm not mad about the blast services. It made me realize which one of these finessing ass, old cap and thieving ass crooks was in the way taking these kids' money all this time. You never know. You don't know what a record looks like fully registered. So why wouldn't you just take some money from willy-nilly from anybody to blast it out? But we're not talking about that from us, are we?
Right.
We know when a record is tracked and monitored and registered and ready to rock and roll. So then why don't we service it?
Because
Cheat
the
code.
path that other people have used have burned out that lane.
Then if that's
why.
the case, we're in the
That's
wrong
why.
business because everybody before us has burned out our
But let's
lane.
also say, I think I would want to have to be a record servicer because that takes time and energy, right? Because I could be, at this point, I would be servicing records all fucking day because how many of these records are getting uploaded every day?
60,000.
So
Yeah.
Just
I
trying to
don't- I
keep
don't
up with
even know-
Warner.
I
Now,
don't-
side note, I try to keep up with Warner because I'm a friend of Ferrari's. So whenever Warner
Bro,
drops
it's
a
like-
record, I try to add the Warner records to our blast. It's
Right.
impossible. It's
So
impossible.
Everything takes energy, right?
Yes.
So I'm in the energy business. So just to have a record blasting service it would require you to be on your computer or be in the know as much as possible.
Shout out to Ravish.
I don't even know what I'm eating for dinner tonight.
And America's Realest.
Okay? I don't even know what I'm eating for dinner tonight. You over here talking about Janet Jackson. I'm over here like, I haven't even thought about Janet Jackson in
Since
10
the 80s.
years. When she had
And the
abs
record
and she was on my
slaps.
fucking wall.
And the record slaps.
On
by
the
way.
poster.
Yes, the record slaps.
So
Me and the wife.
That is my point.
We're going crazy.
That is my
listening to it
point.
today.
And you got to remember, I got to pay attention to what's relevant to me. And
course.
what's relevant to me is not Janet Jackson. It's Fetty. It's
Ice Spice and
Ice
NLE
Spice
Choppa
and-
and Sexy Red and of
so
course.
I got to pay attention to what's relevant to me because I know when NLE Choppa drop. I know when Fetty drops. I know when Gunna drop. I know when Thug drop. I know when Drake drop.
But I
when all
also know
those.
that one of the most pioneer artists of the last 40 years drops a record that it goes quiet. That tells me that it wouldn't matter how many times Fetty drops today. If we don't have our business right tomorrow, he's going to drop tomorrow and nobody's going to give a rat's ass because they're worried about the artist today. That's a bad recipe to have for us. We prioritize what's in front of us. We are in the music business. So if Lizzo drops, Garth Brooks drops, Taylor Swift drops, we know we are in the music business.
Right.
What we prioritize now is a different story. Taylor Swift dropped 5 versions of that 3
Let me
album,
argue my
Her
point to
One.
that though.
Please.
Janet Jackson has fans, so her fans gonna know she dropped. I'm not necessarily a fan of her right now, so I don't give a damn.
Can I tell you who
I'm just
told me
being
it
honest.
dropped?
I really don't care.
A 27-year-old woman told me it dropped, not a 45-year-old.
But my point,
But she might be a fan.
She's a fan, and I
Yeah,
don't
she
care.
might be
But
a
guess
fan.
who I care who dropped? Lil Baby.
Of course.
Want to know why? Because I'm a fan.
Of course.
And I'm a super
Rihanna.
fan.
And you follow
You're a
him.
Rihanna fan.
But I wouldn't care, and I don't have to care if I don't want to.
Of course not.
So, but I'm just saying that to say, we have to pick and choose what we care about, and that one I don't care.
Well, I'm not necessarily speaking in the sense of where a Janet Jackson record, but a record from
No,
a
just an
prominent
example.
artist.
Right.
Take out the name, say Doja Cat, a record from a prominent artist
relevant.
dropped. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody is there to hear it, does it make a sound? This tree fell in the woods and everybody was there to hear it and it didn't make a fucking
I think-
But
splash.
Doja Cat's young.
I think if a tree falls and you're interested in that tree, you're going to know that it fell. If you're watching that tree and it falls, you're going to see it fall.
And Doja Cat, when she
But
dropped,
if you're in this forest and the tree drops over there, you're not going to care.
and when
because that's not your forest.
Doja Cat dropped, every radio station is playing her. When Janet Jackson dropped, every radio station might not play her because she's not relevant to me.
Or because,
I'm just saying
or could it
currently
possibly be
relevant.
Could it possibly be that the people that decide what goes on the radio were never informed that the radio dropped, that the record dropped?
That's a problem though. That's also a problem.
Okay, then.
Yeah,
So
that's a problem.
We're coming back to the very beginning. I didn't just want to throw Janet
That's a
Jackson to
problem.
piss you off, brother, because I
No,
know
no,
how you
no,
feel
I'm
about
not
it.
pissed off. No,
Listen,
I'm cool.
I'm bringing it back to the very beginning.
But is she signed? Who's she signed to? And who works for her? That's a whole thing. That's a whole
Radio
thing.
budget. Is it going to go on? Is this one of
Yeah,
many?
so
Are
we
there
coming
3 or
back
4
full circle.
follow-up
That's
ones?
a whole thing.
Because the wife asked me.
Who's her staff?
The
Who's
wife
her
asked
manager?
me, is she dropping a record? Does that mean the album is coming? I said, maybe they're going to drop 3 or 4. This one didn't react because it's been out a couple
Well, she
weeks.
better drop another one,
So
'cause
she
I
got
already
to
know.
drop another one, right? To see if it reacts. And then when it drops, are they going to focus on more like that? Is this something that they've had in the can and they're just now leaking out? So again, that relates to us because
Right.
we work projects collectively and we have artists that have songs in the can and that we're trying to test and tease and organize and structure things for. So understanding how the majors can fumble will prevent us from fumbling with the young kids.
But is she signed? Is Janet Jackson signed to a major?
She must be because she's got a major merch site. Her merch site is killing it.
I'll have to do a deep dive. I have to
gotta
do
go
my
down-
Kingpin Weasel dive.
yeah, we can throw on our diving caps and go together because I'm down. To
That's
go
a
look at this
problem
one.
if she's signed to Atlantic.
Right. No, it's a problem.
If she's
Period,
signed
man.
to said Interscope or something, I don't know who she's signed to, but
It's a problem. Period. And the
because
reason I
you would
say that
see
is,
hype around that.
listen, get your network.
Should.
Build your
Should.
resource pool. If you're an independent artist, the people that constantly like and comment on your pictures, go on their page. If they have an email address available, grab it. If not, send them a DM, ask for it, and start to build with them. Send them coupons whenever you have merchandise so they can
Build a
buy
community.
your shirt for $10 off. Let them listen to the music 2 or 3 days early. That requires you to have a SoundCloud so you can upload your video, set it to private, send it out to your journalistic friends so they can review it, offer them the opportunity to premiere it on their site 2 or 3 days early. These are the things that you have to do. That it requires communication. And unless
And relationships.
unless you're putting fucking stamps on envelopes and mailing it off. 9 times out of 10, you're sending off an email. So that means learn how to send better emails and take more time in opening and checking your emails.
Cheat code.
Cheat code.